Newsroom. Killing off Britain's biggest selling Sunday newspaper may not be enough to stop what some see as perhaps the beginning of the end for Rupert Murdoch, the 80-year-old media tycoon flying to London over the weekend to try and save his bid for a full takeover of satellite broadcaster B-Sky B. This Monday, the Prime Minister, David Cameron, a personal acquaintance, calling on the Australian-born Murdoch to back off and focus on cleaning house after a UK phone tapping scandal that's led to Murdoch pulling the plug on News of the World after 168 years. Why are so many only now discovering the power of a kingmaker who's backed every winning British Prime Minister since 1979, who's built a $46 billion worldwide media empire? What are the global implications of this scandal, not just for Murdoch, but for the media as a whole? Today in the France 24 debate, Murdoch's world. And joining us to talk about it with us is Claude Marius, Labour member of the European Parliament. He joins us from London. Thank you for being with us.
Good evening.
Also with us, Craig Capidis, senior writer at Bloomberg News. How are you, sir?
Fine.
And with us, Sophie Loussoir, who teaches at Paris' Sciences Po, and the author of, I should mention, David Cameron, a 21st century conservative.
Exactly.
Only published in French, though, for now.
Yes, exactly. It will probably be translated soon.
This coming after a book about Tony Blair.
Yes.
And also with us, Robert Skippon, who teaches at Paris' prestigious political science institute, Sciences Po. Thank you for being with us as well. And thank you for joining our conversation on the France 24 debate Facebook page and on Twitter, where our handle here is at Francois F24. Let's start with the latest, and the news urgents have been coming in fast and furious all day. What have we got? News Corps taking off the table. Taking off the table a major condition for the takeover of B-Sky B, the promise to spin off Sky News. That's no longer on the table. This on the heels of the government decision to refer that acquisition to the UK Office of Fair Trading. And Craig Capidis, this latest urgent we have, News International appealing for information to help investigate hacking claims against the former British Prime Minister Gordon Brown.
They're running it like a tabloid press contest. You know, what's going on here in this investigation right now. Everyone at News Corp is trying to cover themselves. And it's fascinating to watch. The big prize here, as you said, is B-Sky B. It looks right now as if Mr. Murdoch is not going to end up with it. The market seems to be saying that as we sit here. But I think any discussion of this, at least for myself, I have to say this as a professional journalist for my entire life, I do not view Murdoch's newspapers as journalism. I am from the American School of Journalism. I find the news
say the Times of London.
There's some very good stuff in those papers, but I must tell you, reporters at the Times of London, at the most London newspapers, they will accept free gifts. They will accept tickets from the people who they go and do stories on. They will accept free trips if they go to a restaurant. They will accept free dinners. Where I have worked in my career, the Wall Street Journal, Bloomberg News, and other American news organizations, that is not allowed because that's compromising. I have never, and in fact, at any of the shops I've worked for, if we engaged in those kind of activities, we would have been fired. And certainly, had any of us even thought about engaging in the kind of activities that has taken place at the News and the World, and as reports today indicate, at other Murdoch properties in the UK, such as the Sunday Times and the Sun, believe me, I would have been drawn and quartered by my editors, paying off policemen, hacking into phones, scamming bankers to get the secret bank details of Gordon Brown, and these other allegations that are coming out and seemingly supported by police evidence. This is not what professional journalists do. It's a very American view. I'm completely willing to admit that, but that's, I think, the right way and the proper way and the only way for a journalist who, at the end of the day, is concerned about serving the public interest should operate.
Let me get the reaction here of Claude Marius in London. Claude, when you hear the depiction from the outside of the Murdoch press, is it an accurate one?
It's accurate because there's a unique position in the United Kingdom today. We read newspapers per head of population more than any other Western democracy. So the newspapers in the United States, which I think are on the whole of high standards, and many of them, of course, are quality, that market is tiny compared to the TV market. In the United Kingdom, the News of the World was the highest per capita read newspaper in English in the world. And we have had to live in this country with those kinds of newspapers. Now that News International is weakened, the Daily Mail, the Mail on Sunday, the Daily Express, and your readers may have come across many of these titles, will become more powerful. British people still read newspapers in their millions. And not only that, but many of the stories from those newspapers routinely make their way into the broadcasting media. So the BBC will have skewed its coverage over the years to accommodate stories which the public demand need to be heard about the royal family, about celebrities, and it has created a tabloidization. And the payment to the police is something which has gone on for many years, and the appetite of the British public for deeper and deeper what we call scamming stories, blagging is a new word you have heard today in the House of Commons, criminality, because in the United Kingdom it's a criminal offence for the police to pass information, it's a criminal offence to read or hack the phone messages of another private individual. These are all criminal offences, they're imprisonable offences, people have gone to prison in the past few months for these offences. All of this has been a real nightmare for the United Kingdom as a democracy. Quietly, within, however people see the United Kingdom, the stereotypes of how the UK operates as a democracy, we have had a press which has been an intimidatory press. Politicians never dare speak out against the press because they are not regulated the way that broadcasters are regulated. And that basically means we have a press complaints commission which is completely useless. Everyone from the Prime Minister downwards agree with that. Yet broadcasting is regulated, and our broadcasting media in the United Kingdom is on the whole respected. Our press, our print media is not respected. Let me just interrupt you there,
Claude Marius. Have you felt instances where you were personally bullied?
Well, of course. I mean, I'm, for example, a member of the European Parliament. The British press, almost, I would say, 90 to 95% is deeply Eurosceptic, has a deep hatred of the European Union, and that News International is quite openly hostile towards the European Union. It has been for many, many years. That means that if you're, an MEP, if you're an MP, a politician, of course you don't speak out against the print media. If you speak out against the print media will take vengeance, and that is the reality of what has been happening for many, many years. That's why Cameron has to, we use the expression in the United Kingdom, suck up to Murdoch. That's why Tony Blair did it. That's why Gordon Brown did it. And what is happening now is an extraordinary situation where they have been caught out on subject matter which is very important to what we call Middle England. Very important. You've heard the case of Millie Dowler. You heard the case of the British soldiers who had fallen, whose relatives' phones had been hacked. Now, the minute you touch those kinds of subjects in the United Kingdom, the moment you do it, you pay a heavy price.
There's a backlash there.
Yeah, that is what we call Middle England. That is the heart of the British psyche, and you do not touch those areas. Now, News International moved in there. They were caught, and now the whole thing is unfurling, and there's a lot more to come.
A lot more to come. I want to ask Sophie Lussois on the question here. You've written a book on Tony Blair, a book on David Cameron. Interesting to see how, for instance, at the wedding of Rebecca Brooks, who's the head of News Corporation, was the head of News of the World, you had both David Cameron and Gordon Brown present.
Yes. Yes, well, it raises the question of the relations between politicians and the press. No one could be elected in the United Kingdom without the support of Rupert Murdoch. And as you said previously, Rupert Murdoch supported Tony Blair in 1997 and in 2007 when he became aware of the cash for peerages scandal and the MP's expenses scandal. He started to support David Cameron and thought he would become the next Prime Minister. Today, the Prime Minister is being challenged because he has appointed Andy Coulson as Director of Communication at Number 10. He was warned about the danger of appointing Andy Coulson as his Director of Communication, and he is today challenged with Rupert Murdoch. And in his declaration on Friday, he launched 2 inquiries, one into the way the News of the World operated and the other one in the ethics of the press.
And Andy Coulson was arrested.
Andy Coulson was arrested. He was dismissed as Director of Communication in December 2010. And this is, of course, tightly linked to the bid over B-Sky B. Vince Cable was against it. Vince Cable, the business secretary to David Cameron. And today, Ed Miliband is...
the head of the Labour Party.
Yes, the head of the Labour Party is warning against his opposition to the bid and an amendment in the House of Commons on Wednesday.
We'll get to Ed Miliband in a moment. First, though, let's listen to the reactions from those that are in government. Again, there was, as this scandal has ballooned, the British Prime Minister calling for a rethink of the B-Sky B deal, a plea that was echoed earlier in the day by his coalition partner, Nick Clegg, this after a visit to the family of that murdered schoolgirl, Millie Dowler.
On the B-Sky B bid, Rupert Murdoch is now in town in London seeking to sort things out. And I would simply say to him, look how people feel about this. Look how the country has reacted with revulsion to the revelations. So do the decent and sensible thing and reconsider, think again about your bid for B-Sky B.
Robert Skippon, are you surprised after all the years you've been focusing on the media to see this unanimity across the political class in the UK today?
Not really, because the scandal is so outrageous. The phone tapping is such an enormously criminal act that it would be very, very difficult to see anybody not going against Murdoch, even David Cameron, who was supported by Murdoch, and of course Nick Clegg, who has been on the fence for some time, even Ed Miliband, who was very, very, very wary about attacking Murdoch before all this came out. So I would say, no, not so surprised. This is a tremendous political scandal. Some people have said they're starting to call it Murdoch Gate. I'm not sure it will have quite that much impact, although it'll remain to be seen how deeply involved David Cameron was with Rupert Murdoch. Obviously, he had Murdoch's support. But I'm not surprised to see this unanimity. The one thing that I personally hope will happen out of all of this is that Murdoch will be rebuffed in his bid to take over completely B-Sky B. That would be a very good thing for the British media.
Claude Marius?
Yeah, I think it's much deeper than that. And I think for international viewers, they need to know that the politicians, even on the centre-right and right, who naturally would have, in Mrs. Thatcher's day, liked News International. One of the reasons you're finding lots of politicians from different parties in Britain really going for this is not the nature of the scandal. Many of those politicians knew that phone hacking was happening for a long, long time and that police were giving information. What is happening is that what was essentially characterised by some politicians as a protection racket, that politicians were not allowed to speak out against the excesses of the press because they themselves would be personally targeted. This was almost a mathematical equation in the UK. It's very unique to the United Kingdom that if anyone dares speak out, they would find themselves or their private lives or something compromised. Now, the individual members of Parliament who have spoken out have already been sullied and their reputations have already been questioned. But what
I was going to ask about that because there was a report
sure.
That we've seen a report over the weekend accusing the campaign strategist for Ed Miliband of having a drug addiction.
Absolutely.
This surfaced in two Murdoch papers. Is that directly linked, do you think?
I mean, for American viewers, for international viewers, French viewers, they are going to see something that is uniquely British. A lid has been put on an extraordinary cauldron here, and it is a cauldron where the political class and the press, which is print media, is extremely powerful in the United Kingdom. What has happened is there has been a deal between both sides, a détente, if you like, where lots of personal smears about people have been circulating, and the press chose at whatever given moment to produce these smears. And this is something that is quite uniquely British. We don't have every Sunday in every country certain numbers of reputations completely destroyed in a personal way. Yes, in America, in broadcasting, people are attacked, but personal dismemberment of people's reputations has become routine in the United Kingdom.
And on this point, will it succeed? Will, in the end, the allegations against...
Yeah, it's a tidal wave. You know,
will the allegations against Ed Miliband's chief strategist have some effect?
No, because it'll be caught up in a whole tidal wave of allegations about all sorts of people. And Gordon Brown's in the media today. You'll find Tony Blair, you'll find his wife, you'll find David Cameron's wife. All of these people have been hacked. They've been compromised. And what you're going to find is a tidal wave against the Murdoch empire. But then there are other newspapers who have been doing the same.
Greg Kapitas.
Politically, the only one to emerge unscathed here will be the Liberals, because Murdoch never liked the Liberal Democrats, so he never let them in the building. Basically, the Liberal Democrats were the only ones who never cared what Mr. Murdoch had to say, but then again, Mr. Murdoch never cared about them, so he never said anything about them. So, humorously enough, it's the Lib Dems who come across here as the heroes.
I think it's the first great test for David Cameron, and he is going to take an amendment on Wednesday to delay the bid and put a fatal blow to the bid of B-Sky-B.
Right.
I'm not sure that debate will happen now on Wednesday.
We'll see. I'm going to cut you off there, Claude Marius, because we have to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll continue. Stay with us. The France 24 debate continues.